What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Backyard Barbecuing. Today is a ribs day, so we're going to be cooking some pork ribs and some beef ribs. This video, I'm going to be focusing on the beef ribs. And if you notice in my next video of the pork ribs, I'm wearing the same shirt. That's because I'm doing two videos today. All right, stay tuned. Some of you have seen my previous back ribs video and what I thought about them. Now, if you remember, or if you've seen the video, I did say I did like the back ribs because you can kind of play around with the seasonings on not such an expensive cut of meat. So my local grocery store actually had some short ribs on sale. So I went ahead and took advantage of that, and that's what we're gonna be cooking today. What we have here are some short ribs. Again, found them in my local grocery store on sale. Let's go ahead and take them out. Now, typically what you're gonna find is you're gonna find yourself a 3-bone, but they were selling them in 4s and weren't willing to cut one off for me. So either I need to change butchers or we'll just deal with 4 ribs today. Now you can go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Well, we're gonna actually just leave it. We're just serving these in the house today, but if I was to serve these to people, then I would definitely clean it up a little. Now, as you guys know, I'm not really a fan of mustard because I feel like it creates a barrier for the smoke to penetrate, but we're gonna go ahead and use it today. I've got a lot of mustard in the fridge and we need to start getting rid of it. Let's do bone side down first. Rub that down, get the sides. We're gonna try and keep one hand clean. Get the sides. So I already have some salt and pepper mixture together from my previous brisket video. And we're just gonna go ahead. So this is 2-part coarse black pepper and 1 part kosher salt. I'm just gonna sprinkle that real nice, just like we're doing a brisket. Don't forget the sides. Get that to stick, pat it down. Maybe touch it up in some areas. Then we'll go ahead and hit our meat side. Kind of give that a little stir. We're just gonna start heavily hitting the meat side. And hit the sides. Let's spin that around and hit this side. And just like that, we're looking pretty good to me. So at this time, I'm actually gonna do something a little different that I don't typically do with some beef. I'm just gonna dust it with some garlic powder. Give it a different flavor profile. Gonna pat that in. Should have done it to the bone side. Let's go ahead and flip that over. So we're looking pretty good. I've already started my fire. I'll take you guys over there to see how I set it up. We're hovering around the 275, 280 to 280. We're gonna go ahead and throw them on. And we're just gonna set this, watch our temperatures, and it's gonna take a few hours. So I'll check back in with you guys. All right, so about a 2.5 hour update. Oh, it's nice and smoky. That first hour, maybe 2 hours, was really just fire management, getting our fire and our temps right. It was really just standing out here, opening vents, closing vents, opening the door because it got a little too hot. But anyway, we made it work. The beef ribs look pretty good, and now it's time to start spritzing. And apparently I'm not fully ready for this cook because I didn't have any apple juice. So we went with some peach, mango, watermelon, whatever. Cut it down with about half of some apple cider vinegar just in case it was a little too sweet. And we're gonna just go ahead and start spritzing it. And we'll just rehydrate this bark here. Get it nice and moist just so it doesn't dry out so much. About once every 30 minutes or so. I'll come back out and hit it again. All right, so we're about 5.5 hours in maybe, and you can tell it is looking nice. We're starting to get a little bit of pullback, really nice color on it, kind of like a mahogany color. Well, now at this point, we're gonna switch to some Worcestershire and a little bit of apple cider vinegar to get some nice color. Maybe not too much flavor out of it, but get a nice mahogany color on this thing. And we'll just start hitting it like we were doing with the juice little mix there. And we're just gonna keep letting it go. The bark hasn't fully set on it, So we're just gonna keep letting it go until it does. All right, so it's looking like these beef ribs are nice and ready. The bark is setting real nice on them. No real pulling. It's got really nice color. We're gonna take them over to the cutting board and wrap them up. So here's what we're gonna wrap them with. We're gonna use some Reynolds Wrap butcher paper. You haven't seen me use this on the channel yet. In the other rib video, I'll be using it. So we'll take this, kind of just slice it through. Nice clean cut. Then we're gonna take what we've been using and just kind of spritz to hold this paper down. And we'll go and grab the ribs. And we'll go ahead and set these ribs down. We'll put it about there. Spritz it a little more, get some hydration. And then we'll go ahead and wrap them. Now that we've got these ribs nice and wrapped, we're gonna go ahead and throw them back on the smoker for another few hours. So after being wrapped for about a good 3 to 4 hours now, those beef ribs are temping at about 202 degrees. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do what I do with brisket. I'm gonna wrap it up in some foil and then put them in my oven at about 200 degrees to give it a nice overnight rest. So what this is going to do is really relax the meat and let it come back down to serving temperature at a really slow pace. Now I know a lot of your guys' ovens won't necessarily do this or get down that low. So another method is you can wrap it up in towels and in foil, try and leave it overnight in a cooler. But whatever you have, let's make it work. All right, so after an overnight rest, we left it in our oven for probably about, I would say 8 hours or so, at about 180 degrees. And when I let it rest in there for a little while, these things are feeling nice and tender. Slightly a little bit warm. I turned off my oven right when I woke up this morning to let these things cool down. Not 100% cool yet. I couldn't find my cotton gloves either, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. Let's open this thing up. Ooh, nice and juicy. Ooh, those are looking good. So tender. Let's get this thing flipped around. And these things are looking super tender. Let's go ahead and cut into them. So we'll cut into this one here. Oh, just super tender. I could have let these things probably rest just a little longer, but it's time for breakfast. Let's take a look at that thing. Oh, it held real nice. Nice and juicy. Let's take a bite. Just so tender. And you would think that cooking these things so long, they'd be dried out, but you'd be very surprised. These things are so good. I would highly recommend trying this. I mean, it did take a while, but absolutely fun cook. It was a lot cheaper than a brisket, and you really get those brisket qualities to it, which is really nice. You can kind of play with your flavors if you wanted to with this. And that's gonna do it for today's video, you guys. Thank you for everyone that's subscribing. I really appreciate your guys' support, and until next time, peace.